Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Dolores Jones, your comeback coach. Hey, I thank you for being here. What we're going to talk about are the 3 ways to beat a pusher like Serena Williams. Dolores Jones is my name, the comeback coach. And I want to help you bounce back better, not bitter, through life experiences and bad decisions, honey. So come on in the room. Want to let you know that I have a Facebook page as well. That's Dolores Inspires Me. And you're here on my YouTube channel, DeloresJonesTV. Thank you for your patience. You know, when you're trying to do something, you always get a hiccup or a hang up. But guess what? We're going to work through that. And that's exactly what this particular video is about. How to beat a pusher like Serena Williams. Make sure that you go ahead and click tag and share. Hit the notification button like right there and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I love for you to be here with me. Honey, listen, sometimes you got to do it alone. Sometimes you got to just go even if you don't have any clothes on, okay? So I want to say hello to one of my coaches, David Green, because let me tell y'all something. I don't care how gifted or talented you are. Everybody needs a coach to coach you. And so he was like, okay, Dolores, today is Tuesday. You promised live videos. And I was like, I'll go and pick something that I've already done. He was like, okay. But then I had to get myself together, because let me tell you why sometimes I hesitate. And maybe you can relate to this. You ever just feel like you're not good enough? You know, because there's so many other people doing so many things and you get distracted by the competition. Am I the only person out there? Okay, if I'm not, please holler at your girl. But you get distracted because maybe you go visit somebody else's Facebook page or you visit their website and everything looks perfect. And you listen to them over and over again. And then you just feel like, I can't do this. But you knew, it's kind of like being a big fish in a small pond. But if life goes on and you go to another level, now you become a small fish in a big pond. And that doesn't mean you're not significant, okay? You just need to know what you need to know when you need to know it, and you need to know it all to pieces. So tonight, what I'm going to do, we're going to use the game of tennis. Yes, the game of tennis, to show you how to beat a pusher just like Serena Williams. Now, a lot of people are like, Dolores, what is a pusher? I'm glad you asked. A pusher is that slow person. So as far as we're concerned, you know, Serena Williams is arguably one of the best tennis players in the world. Y'all already know that. But you also know that she didn't win every game, but she won enough to stand above the rest. And that's what we want to talk about. So in the game of tennis, when a person is playing, you know, they have their certain swings. And so Serena is one of the best people. And sometimes when she meets someone that she thinks is going to be, you know, easy, then she has a tendency to overdo it. And a pusher is a person who hits the ball slower, and they hit the ball right by the net. And so if you're not careful, you'll get frustrated. And Serena has done that. Y'all have seen her smash the tennis racket to the ground and all of that. But you have to maintain in the midst of a pusher. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you those 3 ways. Let me find my little card, honey, because you know sometimes things happen. Hold on. Yes, I have my tips. All right. Once again, go ahead and send your comments in. His way said, that's what's up. Hello, Miss D. Okay. So a pusher, that slow person. So maybe right now you feel like your life is really going slow, that you knew you could be, you know, better. Have you ever just felt like you're so much better than where you are today? And if you're not careful, you lose your cool and you act a fool. That's just the reality of it. And so the first thing we must do is you have to stay cool. You got to stay cool, honey. You got to stay cool. You can't lose your patience in the midst of what they call a pusher. And sometimes we call them, you know, agitators, the person that just pushes you to your limit. And you're like, if she does one more thing, I'm going to slap her in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Maybe it's your ex. Maybe it's a situation. But here's the point number 1. In the game of tennis, you must have what they call a rally ball. What is a rally ball? A rally ball is that one ball, that one swing that you know if you take it, you will hit it 100% of the time. That means that thing that you can do in your sleep. Like doing videos, I can do this in my sleep. Why? I am gifted for this. And then I've taken the time to hone my skills as an award-winning journalist and a coach and all of this. But it doesn't mean that I don't feel intimidated sometimes. And it doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated because where I really want to be is not where I am and I want it to happen overnight. But it doesn't happen like that. But in this fast world of internet sensations and reality TV, if we're not careful, we get off track and we think it's supposed to happen just like that, but it doesn't happen like that. So what I need you to focus on, the one way, and Serena did this perfectly, you have to focus on your rally ball. What's that one thing you can do that you're known for? And everybody tells you, and you run away from it, like I used to. I went and became a social worker. I was in a nursing home. I was a cashier at Barnes & Noble. I was doing it because I really didn't want to accept my greatness. And sometimes that's because you grew up in a critical environment. Did you know, according to science and studies, that 85% of your personal self-talk is negative? Why? We grow up in the negative world. I know in the news, we often say, well, this is the thing. If it bleeds, it leads. And so they hit you with all this gory news. Well, I realized that's not me, because I want to speak life into people. I don't want to keep reporting about death and dying. So what's your one thing? Okay, number two. Say number two. Say number two. Did you say number two? Okay, transitions. Transition is about change. You know, some of us are so rigid. And so when it's time for you to transition into something fast or something slower or something medium, all you know is fast. I'm fast, fast, fast. And life doesn't work like that. You have to find out how to transition. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen, right? So when Serena is out there, she has to recognize sometimes I'm going to come up against a pusher, because the person know I can hit the ball, but sometimes you're overreaching. And I want to look at overreacting. Sometimes you don't need to overreact. You need to use your intelligence and take a transition. Let me give you this story, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. You know, I was a single mom, but at one point my son stayed with his father and I paid child support and I had visitation. Now, y'all know, ladies, I pushed that baby out, so I wasn't trying to hear none of that. I was like, y'all gonna make me act a fool up in here. And exactly that's what I did. So one day I go to court and all I wanted was more time with my son. That's it. I was like, his daddy doesn't do anything on the 4th of July. Our family reunion is on the 4th of July. So I don't see why. I'm like, I'm not on drugs. And, you know, you try to list your credentials and it makes sense, right? So when I go into court, the judge is like, no, I'm not going to change it. So by this time, I was at the highest form of pissosity. I was tired of crying because I couldn't be with my son. I was just, so what did I do? I overreacted. So we're in the hall of the courthouse, and I see my ex, and the Holy Ghost said, you know what? If you just hit him in the temple with your shoe, he'll die. Now, I'm not thinking about the consequences. So in the heat of the moment, during this transition, I take my big platform shoe off. Baby, I cock that thing back and I throw it to his temple. It hit him on the shoulder. Now I wasn't going to be outdone. And Holy Ghost said, you know what? You got another shoe and you need to take your shot. So I took the other one off. I figured I ain't got nothing to lose. I wasn't thinking about going to jail. So when I released the second shoe to really try to hit him again, all the bailiffs started running towards me. You know why they were coming, right? They were coming to arrest me. But thankfully, God had a ram in the bush. He was a bailiff and he was a pastor. And he was like, baby girl. And I'm like, yes. He said, could you do me a favor? By the time he got to me, I just laid my head in his chest. I said, I'm so tired. You ever been tired of fighting a certain way and you're losing as you're fighting? And he said, baby girl, it's okay. Just put your shoes back on. He said, the judge had mercy on you. He told me to calm you down and to send you home because I could have been in jail. So what happened? I knew that I was tired of going back to court. I was tired of acting a fool. And this was a transition, and that I could not control a judge's decision. So what the Spirit of God helped me understand, and I heard it just as clear as I'm talking to you, said, Dolores, you need to focus on controlling the quality of time you have with your son, Ricky, because you cannot control the quantity. You can't control the amount of time you have with him. So you need to understand this transition, okay? Which brings us to the last point. Approach. How do you approach that situation, right? How do you approach the situation? Do you have an attitude? Are you always complaining? You know, a skilled person, be it a Kobe Bryant, be it a Michael Jordan, they know what their rally ball is, right? Michael Jordan shoot a three-pointer, but y'all know he was outside in the morning working on it. So what does that mean? You have that one thing, you got to work on it. Be it your faith, be it your experience, and you have to know when it's time. And I know this push is going to come. They say, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I am trying not to lose my head. You know, okay, take me back to my radio days. You got to know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So what do you do when things seem slower than usual? I'm glad you asked. Delores Jones, the comeback coach, is my name. You need to find out what your larger goal is, and you want to take smaller steps, shorter goals. Let's do this as an example. Say, for instance, you want to buy a house. Okay, single mom, and you're counting yourself out. Well, I want to let you know it doesn't have to be that way. What do? Number one, I took a first-time home buyers program. You get in that class, right? In that class, they told me how to work on my credit. They gave me a budgeter, so I knew how much money I had. I knew how much house I could afford. And also in that process, I became qualified for grants. So when the time came for me to buy my house, I was also connected with a company that specialized in helping single moms buy houses. So my first house, I paid $68,000 for it because I qualified for $30,000 in grants, which is free money. Yes. So here I was with my first house. I was making $28,000 a year. I was a single mother of a 4-year-old, and I was a graduate student. So I had to look at those transitions. I had to look at my approach. Are you flexible? Are you adaptable? Some people do, that's just the way I am. Well, the way you are, you're going to stay the way you are. You're going to be sad and sitting somewhere on the corner. So when I got that house, my house note was $363 a month. Now, when I went in, y'all, it wasn't my dream house. So what did I do? I had to go in. My aunt came over and she took sheets and she nailed the sheets up to the windows, these big, long windows. I didn't have furniture. So my son and I took a comforter and we slept on the floor with the pillows. And I just started being prayerful. That's my thing. My one rally ball is my faith. That's another thing. God has never failed me and he's not going to start today. Maybe David, he had that slingshot. He said, my God is well able. Maybe that was Caleb. Your attitude may be your rally ball. And whenever I'm feeling complex and out of sync, I just have to stop and go into prayer and worship. I can't do like everybody else. I can't pick up reefer. That doesn't work for Delores. I can't hit a blunt and be okay. That's just not me. I have to know the angles, like your spirit, mind, and body. What does your body need to stay healthy for you to do what it is you need to do? What does your mind need? What is your spiritual peace? Like, here's the thing. If it's working for you, do you, boo? Stay true to what works for you. You don't have to go over here. Well, so-and-so, they just, okay, well, girl, she's a vegan. Mm-hmm. But you like chicken, right? Okay. So maybe you want intermittent fasting. You can do this. You can do this. And as you're thinking about that, I just want you to holler at your girl. Say, D, I'm with you. Say, D, or you can say D-Lo. D-Lo, I'm with you. I know you are. But this sometimes hurts because you don't want to accept that maybe you are not giving it your all. It's so much easier to stay in the bed. I know I'm experiencing that. Sleeping 16, 18 hours a day. Depression was kicking my tail. But spiritually, what I knew was for the spirit of heaviness, put on the garments of praise. That's gratitude. I'm just grateful, God, that you brought me a mighty long way. God, my mom passed when she was 21 years old. I was 5 years old. But God, I'm still here with my son. Lord, I may not like the circumstances. Hallelujah. But God, at least I got my mind back. I got my strength back. I got the comeback. I want to thank you. No, God, right now, I wish I had another house. But Lord, I thank you that I have missed a meal. Can y'all tell? Okay. I haven't missed a meal, Father. You have people who love you. You have people who see your greatness, and you should be grateful that they're not just going to let you sit around because you got the potential, but you won't do anything because you got the potential to be po. Now, how do you become a ruler? There's 3 things to that. First of all, stop being so doggone judgmental. Nobody's perfect. Not near one of us, okay? Everybody got something. So stop being judgmental and mind your business. The other thing, sometimes you lack confidence. What do you need to do to build your confidence? Confidence building is about winning. Because have you ever done that, when you were a kid and you were like, I did that. I kicked that kickball. And you start feeling more confident, right? So you want to be around people who helped fuel your confidence, not beat you down by saying crazy stuff. The haters, the blessing blockers, they got an attitude. They stop talking to you. And here, this is going to be free. And I know you're not going to accept this, but everybody that started with you cannot go with you. Even friends you've had for 20 years. And it hurts like hell. Can I say it hurts like hell? Because you're like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be my ride or die. But you know who I've learned is my ride or die? God is my ride or die. He said, in him I live, move, and I have my being. And his thoughts towards me are to prosper me, to give me hope and a future, not to harm me. So I got to focus to finish, even when the pusher comes, pushing me off the edge. What is it in your life right now that has you tripping? You have lost your focus. Well, I want to let you know that you can beat the pusher just like Serena Williams. You got to have an attitude of gratitude, right? You have to stop being so doggone judgmental. You got to work on your confidence. You got to work on your confidence. And you got to do something, even if it's not perfect. The people that we admire today, they were amateurs at one point. Now they are experts. But experts happen to just have more experience. Do you know you could read so many books in a year and be an expert in 5 years? Yes, reading, information. It's not just about entertainment. Information. What are you putting in? How do you go to sleep at night? Do you go to sleep hollering and screaming? Do you have to sleep with the TV on? Well, if you have to sleep with the TV on, put something that's going to feed your spirit. When you get up in the morning, what's your song? I was at something. They said, there's some holes in this house. There's some holes in this house. I said, now listen, if I went to sleep listening to there's some holes in this house, how do you think I would feel? I don't want to be a hoe. Then stop listening to stuff that called you a hoe. Stop acting like that. 3 things, boo. And I'm getting ready to wrap this up. But before I do, would you do me a favor? I really would appreciate this. Would you go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel? You can hit that button right there. Okay. And then, listen, hit the notification button. I want you to join me. And I got something else for y'all. If you have a question that you want me to address, this is new, you can go to DeloresJonesTV at yahoo.com. DeloresJonesTV at yahoo.com. And if you believe in my efforts, of course, you can cash at me at My Comeback Coach or PayPal. Dolores inspires me. And I hope that I do that. So let's recap this thing one more time. Here are your 3 ways to beat your push-up. Number 1, you got to have a rally ball. What is that thing that you're going to hit 100%? Don't focus on the competition. The competition has nothing to do with you. You are in the game because you can. You came to win. You won. You beat out 100 million sperm. Yes, do you know that? So you're here. I heard somebody say your greatness is in your DNA. Sometimes we don't know that because we're over here just being foolish and ridiculous. But you can come to yourself and say, wait a minute, devil, not today. So that's number one. What's your rally ball? That thing that you are known for and that you go out and do it, okay? Number two, transitions change. What angle? What do you need to do? And transition is about decision making. You have to be intelligent. Don't just feel your way through. You got to make intelligent decisions. Will this benefit me? Okay, does this relationship build me up or tear me down? Am I giving it my all? Am I committing at least 90 minutes towards my dream every day? Because success leaves clues, baby. There are all kinds of clues out there. You can Google it, you can read about it, you can talk about it, but at the end of the day, you have to be about it. You got to be about your business. Nobody's going to make you get up and do anything. Nobody makes you do anything. You decide. You have the ability. Are you adaptable? Can you change when necessary? Or you I'm that way all the time. Well, you're going to stay that way and you may die that way. But I want you to know that you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to do something new. Right? You got your rally ball, your transitions. You got your transitions. Okay? Your transitions, Jay. Yes, Jay. What benefits me? Success does leave clues. Look at what the successful people do. You can learn from a crackhead. Now, excuse the term crackhead because that's just a word. Well, you can learn from somebody who is addicted to drugs. Why? Because you can look at them and say, I ain't going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to look like that. I'm not going to do meth because I like my teeth. Right? Your approach. What's your approach? What's your approach? And let me not forget this. What's your goal? You got to have a vision. Serena Williams, she went in with the vision, honey. And her and her sister, they started real young. And their father had the vision because he started watching other people's kids. And he said, wait a minute now. This kid right here just won this much money. So what did he do? He bought them tennis rackets. He started paying the top coaches to show them that you're going to get these pusher balls. But don't you lose your head in the game. Because your skill is more important than what other people think. You're supposed to get tripped up. Life is unpredictable. It's called life. But the older you get, some things become routine and predictable. But it's the undercuts, the things that we don't expect, like coronavirus, like divorce, like illness, like layoffs. Like you just get tired of doing the same old thing and the same old thing. You're done running from your greatness. Stop comparing yourself to the competition. Your only competition is you. And here's the thing. Can I do better tomorrow than what I did on yesterday? Can I be more consistent today than I was on yesterday? Can I put in effort versus giving excuses? And if you're afraid, just say, God, I am so afraid. Help my unbelief. And find out what the root is. Maybe you were dropped as a child on your head. Maybe somebody molested you. Maybe somebody beat you. Maybe somebody talked crazy to you. But you don't have to, monkey see, monkey do. Monkey see, monkey do. No, you ain't no monkey. You ain't no monkey. You are a masterpiece. And God has a master plan for you. And I want you to listen to this stuff until you begin to believe it in your soul. Because the truth of the matter is you're entertaining beliefs, but they're not good beliefs for you. Sometimes we're faithful to dead stuff. Did you hear what I said? Because it's like, I know what it's like to be up in that relationship. I mean, I know he's going to come home. I know we're going to fuss. But on the other side of that door is opportunity. An opportunity for you to find out who you are. There's a quote that says, adversity introduces a man, and I'm going to say woman, to themselves. When you're in the midst of adversity, you'll find out what you're made of. And then when you find out what your deficiencies are, now you can go back and deal with those things. And sometimes you have to do it afraid. And sometimes you got to cut social media off. You got to come off of other people's things. You can use them as an example, but don't sit there. I used to do it all the time, and I got to be careful. Dolores, well, why would they listen to you? Well, so-and-so's graphics look better than yours. I know, but well, she's been doing it longer. But here's the thing. She don't have my story. Nobody has my background. Nobody, right? If I look, it's kind of like what that we just lost him, y'all. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Broadwick, Bozeman, Rochelle, you know. And he said something about, he said, it's your time. But he also said, that passion and purpose exceeds education. Meaning, when you know that you're here to do something and you got to do it, your life depends upon it. He also said in his last speech in 2018 at Howard University, he said, we got to stop and savor the moment. What happens is we get past something, we survive something that would have killed somebody, and you're still here. But next thing you know, in this rat race called life, you're on to the next thing. So you can't even appreciate what God has already brought you through. So listen to this. Before somebody judges you, they say, you don't know my story. If you knew my story, you would understand my praise. Well, Dolores, you're so animated. That's how God made me. Somebody called it holy flair. That's just me. Let me pop my collar. So I want you to take some time, take out some paper. I want you to write down your moves, your victories. Understand, sometimes you got to slow it down. Sometimes you got to press pause to take care of yourself. But let me just run this down. I got to thinking about this. I said, okay, Dolores, what makes you a comeback coach? What makes you miss resiliency? What makes you able to turn a setback into a setup for a huge, amazing comeback? I got to thinking. I said, Dolores, when you was 5 years old, you buried your mother. Your mama died of a heroin overdose. Now, you remember an overdose, right? Just like Whitney Houston. And then what happened to Bobby Christina? She died the same way. Dolores, now, you're not boasting or bragging, but you understand that pain, right? But also, you knew how you can make another decision. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Eventually, Dolores, people start helping, taking care of you, and they weren't the best at it. Your babysitter, he mishandled you, he molested you, and you didn't tell anybody until you was in your 30s. Why? You were in survival mode. Why? Because you wanted to protect the person, because you are a loving person. See, don't let life beat you out of who you really are. And then I was raised by my grandmother, and hurting people hurt people. And as wonderful of an educator she was, we had some very challenging times. I heard things I never wanted to hear ever again, and I experienced things I don't ever want to experience again. And that has something to do with my makeup. But I had to decide what was the good thing that she invested in me, which was professionalism and education. She's an educator for 35 years. She taught me how to carry myself as a woman. She taught me how to speak to people. Baby, I could talk to the pimp, the pope, the police, and the president of the United States. And I don't know if I want to do that right now. But anyway, so I went on through that and I made it. 17, here I am. Boom, drugs in our home. Homeless. No lights, no water. What did I have? I had my faith. I had a phone. I had a prayer partner. She prayed me through it. And then God showed me as I caught a bus 3 hours before my teachers had to be there. And I went to a junior college, Donnelly College in Kansas City, Kansas. And I went to the basement of that school. And I had 5 things. I had a bar of soap, I had a towel, a toothbrush, toothpaste, and some deodorant. Tussie. Lord help me, Jesus. It didn't work all the time, but it worked some of the time. But then that final thing, see, 5 is God's number of grace. And then I would begin to sing and quote scriptures that my great grandmother taught me. And I had to put it into practice. And I would stay at school until the library closed to get my homework done. I never went up to anybody and said, listen, I ain't got no water at home. I ain't got no lights at home. I said, God, you said. And he showed me at the end of that semester, I had a 4.0 GPA, which is high as you could go. Everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to be all right. Dolores, you're struggling, but you're not stupid. And I maintained that 4.0 for 2 years straight. And as a commencement speaker, my professors did not know what I was going through until I gave my testimony. Amazing, remarkable. Then I was accepted into the #1 journalism school in the nation at that time, University of Missouri School of Journalism. Why? Because I wanted to be like Oprah. Why? I watched her. I could relate to her. I knew the struggle. She talked about being 5 years old and her grandmother was showing her how to hang clothes outside because that's all she knew. And she said, Oprah, I want you to pay attention because my prayer is that you'll get some good white folk that help you. You'll work for some good white folk. And Oprah said at 5 years old, she knew within herself, she deserved better. She's a billionaire, a self-made billionaire. 5 years old. She didn't start arguing with her grandmother. She just learned what she needed to learn. And then she said, I got to do this for me. As many hits as this woman has taken, she's helped people and people come out of the woodworks and they criticize her. And that's what they're going to do to you too. But she didn't give up. Got married. Yes, I did. Got divorced, abusive situation, choked, all that. I kept going. I said, Jesus, man, you need to help me because I'm going to cut a brother smooth. I kept going. Then I got married a second time. I didn't learn my lesson. Why? I didn't have an appropriate understanding of love. I thought love hurt. See, who teaches you about love? Your parents are supposed to. But if they're not there, who's going to help you? So give yourself some slack. Went through the second marriage. Busted in the mouth in the hospital. Teeth jacked up. But I don't look like what I've been through. But what came out of it was my first book called Stop the Dumb Stuff. Can y'all see that? And dumb stands for destructive, unsettling, miserable behavior. Listen, if you're going to go through some pain, you need to get paid. What shifted, Delores? My attitude, my approach. I started looking at what worked for me. I had to take personal responsibility. Lord, I'm not making healthy decisions. I need to turn my intelligence on. Help me to have wisdom. Help me not to focus on my vagina because victory belongs to Jesus. It does not belong to my vagina. So I'm not going to sell my body. I'm not going to get in these crazy relationships, having somebody pay my bills using my body. You got to be honest with yourself. I don't know what you're talking about. It's called survival. Listen, survival, you want to thrive. You want to be able to be at the top with your self-respect. If that meant getting on food stamps, baby, I went and got some food stamps. Yes, I paid into the entitlement programs. And as quiet as it's kept, I got some now because of coronavirus. And I spend them nicely without taxes. Give a car back. Had to give a car back. Why? You weren't doing great. Gave up an apartment or a townhome recently, right before the epidemic hit, and moved in with Lisa. God knows. But I had to humble myself. I had to take personal responsibility for what I did. You cannot keep blaming other people for what happened to you. 10% is what happened to you, and 90% is the attitude in which you choose to do something about it. And it's not going to be perfect, and it may not be pretty, but like Silly said, I might be ugly, but I'm still here. She said, I'm going with Suge. Mr. said, Suge got talent. You ain't got no talent. Look at you. You're ugly. You're nothing at all. She grabbed that knife and they said, he ain't worth it. See, you're being distracted by somebody. The slow person in your life. It's set up. Distraction. She said, well, I can imagine. She said, let me take my old ugly self on up out of here. And then she found out she had a house. You have an inheritance. Maybe somebody stopped you and tried to block you. But what God has for you, it is for you. But you got to show up so God can show out. Delores, I hear what you're saying. Baby, listen, sometimes I don't feel like it. But it's not about my feelings. It's my faith. You got to work your faith. You got to do what you got to do. And don't ask for permission. Do it unapologetically. People come up to me talking crazy to me. I'll be like, talk to the hand. I said, try Jesus, don't try me. Because Jesus will save you. I will slap you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Oh, yes. There comes a point you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You got to beat the pusher, the person pushing you to the edge. They going to make me lose my mind. Stop speaking that. The power of life and death is in your own tongue. So a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's what the secret was all about. That's what positive thinking has been about. It's the same thing. Biblical principles that your grandma probably taught you. But you done got out here and you trying to be like everybody else. You don't need to be like everybody else because your assignment isn't like everybody else. The millions are in my mouth. I've known this for a long time. So what has the enemy came to do? To shut me up. How has the enemy tried to shut you up? Dolores, he's brought back past failures. He brought back the fact you didn't have your mom. He brought back the fact that, you were mishandled. I would go to the TV station, CBS, and I would get there at the station, and I had that little voice inside of me. I'll call her Little Dee Dee, who was mishandled. And then you got Dolores in there. And so me and Little Dee Dee had a conversation. Little Dee Dee said, we shouldn't be here. And Big Dolores, who's bold in God, said, we got something to say. And even up until the moment, until the lights came on. When the lights came on, Dee Dee was like, let me tell y'all something. Then I kept going back and back and back, and then became known as a comeback coach. Right? And I would have anxiety. People didn't know that. They would see me smiling on TV for 5 minutes, giving them hope. But I would be just, oh God, I don't know what I should say. Iyanla said this, Dr. Brianna, whatever the lady's name that was on Oprah. And I'm still comparing myself. You're not them and you're not supposed to be them. They're not your audience. You can learn from them, but you don't have to be them. They're doing a good job being themselves. What about you? Are you really being true to who you are? I might lose, but you might win. Winning is a part of who you are supposed to be. It's a distraction. Rochelle, Jay, his way. It's just a distraction. But I'm here to serve notice. I'm here to hit that ball back to you, baby. Like Serena Williams. She got back out there, honey. And she beat that thing. She took home the World Cup. Was it the World Cup? Was that what it is? Yeah, I know a little bit about sports. But whatever I don't know, I can learn. In life, there are people who watch things happen. There are people who make things happen. And then there are people who have no idea what is happening. I hope you're one of the people that are ready to make something happen. And I know you can go out there and beat your pusher. I want to see you win, and I'm waiting for you inside the winner's circle, baby. I need you. We need you. Okay? We want to value you. Go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. You're bigger than that. Cry if you have to. Roll on the floor if you need to. But when you're done, like Les Brown said, fall on your back, because if you can look up, baby, you can get up. Thank you for joining me tonight on DeloresJonesTV and on my YouTube page and Facebook. I appreciate y'all. Do me a favor, share the love with somebody else. And feel free to share your comments as you watch the video. And I'll join you again Tuesdays between 8 and 8:15. Something fresh, something new. I got to bring it. I got to practice what I preach. So I'm going to bring my little cell phone, my big cell phone up in here. And you know what? Forget the critics, baby, because they ain't doing nothing. They just sitting there watching you do what you do. And you do what you do well. And that's all I got to say about that. Have a wonderful night and an amazing morning. Yes. Let's do the doggone thing. Come on with it. Come on with it. She said, you have to do you. You sleep better at night, not caring about others. Come on, honey. And guess what, Rochelle? People's opinions don't pay your bills. I felt that in my pinky toe. Bye, y'all.